Zig Ziglar famously said once that many people spend more time planning their wedding than they do planning their marriage. I find this quite interesting and true. I've been working as a relationship coach for last 22 years and I have interacted with thousands of people. From those interactions, that those experiences, I now understand the reasons behind marriages or relationships becoming dysfunctional, toxic, abusive, why marriages fail, why people take divorce, why cheating happens, why extramarital affairs happens, and all those kind of things. And if I condense all that experience, if I condense my knowledge and what I have discovered in the field, then it comes down to primarily one root cause, and that is the emotional maturity level of two people. When things become hard in relationships, which they do, then emotionally immature people are the first one to run fast in the opposite direction. And therefore, the emotional maturity level of a person determines how healthy, harmonious, and fulfilling relationship they will experience going forward. And this is the reason why we have made emotional intelligence and emotional maturity the bottom line, the core part of this service. Now, when we talk about emotional maturity, it sounds like a very vague kind of a concept. So how do you measure the emotional maturity of a person? That's the biggest question. So we have created a framework with the help of principles from emotional intelligence, mindfulness, and psychology. And this framework helps us guide us to evaluate and assess the emotional maturity level of the candidates, of those people who register for this matchmaking service. So let me give you a brief of this framework so you get a feel of what is behind the scene or under the hood of this service. The first level, which is level 0, also can be interpreted as emotional immaturity. So this is a person who is completely unaware of the fears and insecurities that they carry, which prevents them from experiencing a fulfilling, harmonious relationships with others as well as with themselves. These fears and insecurities is something that we as kids, as teenagers, as young adults, we adopt this from our environment, from our parents, from our grandparents, from our elders, from the influences in our life, such as the relatives, teachers, neighbors, and then other factors such as the culture, the tradition. Many of these things are the sources of these fears and insecurities. So as kids are growing up, they don't know how to filter, how to shield themselves from such fears and insecurities. They just absorb them as normal part of their life, and only in their adult life these fears and insecurities play a big role in the way their relationships turn out. So, an emotionally mature person is someone who is constantly experiencing certain patterns in their relationships. Perhaps they keep falling for toxic, abusive people. They keep falling in the wrong kind of relationships, or perhaps they are even scared of going in a relationship because they have seen so many relationships that have failed around them or that have become dysfunctional. So these are the people who are quite unaware about these fears and insecurities, but they do experience the impact of them. So on one hand, they want a life partner, a companion to live their life with, but on the other hand, these fears and insecurities hold them back from experiencing such relationships. Then level 2, emotional maturity level 1 actually. That's the first level where we can call somebody an emotionally mature person, is someone who has spent some time in researching about these fears and insecurities. They have read books, they have read blogs, or they have watched videos, they have been following some influencers or experts in the field, and from their research, they have figured out these fears and insecurities that prevent them from experiencing fulfilling relationship. Level two is someone who has done this kind of awareness work with the help of an expert such as a psychiatrist, a psychologist, a life coach, a relationship coach, counselor, a healer, basically someone who knows what they are doing and who applies some kind of system, science, analytics behind assessing these fears and insecurities in the person. They just haven't pulled it out of thin air. They use some models, some psychology based models, to evaluate the fears and insecurities that this person is carrying. The third level is someone who has progressed further, who is not stopping just at the awareness level, but they are now doing something about it. So, with the help of an expert, and please note that I am saying with the help of an expert, this is not a DIY work. So, with the help of an expert, they are now working on those fears and insecurities. Somebody is hand holding them, somebody is guiding them, somebody is checking, assessing, evaluating their progress and making sure that they are on the right track. This is a person who has progressed in their emotional maturity because they have started working on it. And while they haven't reached the destination that they want, they haven't resolved all the fears and insecurities, but in the process itself, they will start to experience a shift in the quality of their relationship. And then the fourth level is someone who has gone all the way, addressed those fears and insecurities, and is now comfortable with them. Is that person is not disturbed by them. They're not disturbed by the triggers, and they are now experiencing fulfilling relationships. I want you to note that I'm not talking about someone who has learned to avoid people who have been pushing their buttons or triggering them. Rather, it's the opposite. So these are the people who have learned to handle such situations, who have learned to create more harmonious relationships with these people. So rather than running away from these situations, because quite honestly, that's not possible. We don't live on Himalayas. We live in this society, we live in this world. We have to function within our family, friends, work circles. We have to live here and perform here. So these people have learned to address the fears and the insecurities, their triggers, and now they are very well equipped to handle such situations, that they don't get disturbed by it. They know that such people will always exist. People will be there. Toxic people, abusive people will be there, who will be pushing the buttons, who will be triggering them. And now they know how to handle that. So that's the emotional maturity level 4 that we are talking about. So this is the framework that we follow. We evaluate the level someone is in when they join the service, and our objective is to get the person to level 3, from where we can start doing the matchmaking for them. So with this service, you can be assured and understand that every person that we will be matching you against, or uh, suggesting you, has reached at least level 3.